What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today it is the championship review for match day 3. We've got a lot to talk about, drama like you wouldn't believe, some incredible goals and even goalkeepers scoring goals as well. We've got so much to cover, and for the first time in this season we've got midweek championship games to predict. The midweek games are officially back, so I'm always very excited to be predicting those. I'll be predicting those in the second half of this video. So guys, whilst you listen to my review, also make sure that you comment your midweek predictions in the comments down below so you can enter into the prediction league. If you wonder what the prediction league is looking like, this is what the current prediction league table is looking like. We've got a new leader, Wallace and Gromit is currently at the top. Andy Newbold didn't set his predictions this week, so because of that, he has dropped a couple of places, and to be fair, in my part, I'm starting to creep up now. So I'm on 19 points, only 4 points away from Wallace and Gromit. So maybe I'm starting to get a slow comeback, but who knows? It's all going to be down to however midweek and the rest of the season goes. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like, it just reminds you of the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button, it really helps the growth of this channel, and please also share the channel too, that really helps too. But without any further ado, let's start reviewing what happened in match day 3. So the first result was on Friday night. It was Watford 1, Burnley 0. I did a live watch along on this and I really enjoyed watching the whole thing. It was a game that had a lot of tight moments. It was very tight. Not much was being given away from either side. We had to be very patient. What happened is that Tom Cleverley scored the goal just before half time. A very crucial time to score as well. And I've got to say, I couldn't really edge either one of the teams. As you can see from the momentum here, it was very close actually from both teams in around this period of the game. But having said that, it was Watford that did take the lead. And I've got to say, a huge shout out has to go to Hasma Chowdhury. He had a brilliant debut with Watford. Burnley just fell short sadly for them, and they really did start to react in the second half. Vincent Kompany, as you can see, made 3 substitutions. Cork, Teller and Rodriguez going on the pitch. I do think, however, it's just one of those things with that Burnley back line. As you can see with the shots, comprehensively more shots, 11-5. In the first half, it was a lot tighter. Second half, as you can see here, very one-sided. But Burnley just didn't make that pressure count. And this could be a kryptonite thing with Burnley this season. So, as you can see, Burnley mid-table with their first defeat of the season. Watford up to 3rd. Both have got a game to take place in midweek, so I'll be very intrigued to see how both these teams will respond after this game. The other game that took place just before the 3 PM kickoffs was Cardiff 1, Birmingham City 0. 2 clean sheets at home in a row for Cardiff, 2 wins at home in a row for Cardiff, and also 2 1-0 wins at home in a row as well. What I will say, if you look at this attack momentum, especially in the first half, Cardiff were all over Birmingham like a rash. They really probably should have scored more than one of those goals. The only goal in the game did come from Jayden Philogene-Bidace. Now, I believe he was joining Cardiff from Aston Villa. And one player who I'm going to give a really good shout out is Callum O'Dowda. I think he's been their best signing so far. Attacking wise, he's really added something extra. And I think the problem with O'Dowda, he's been very injury prone, but I think when he's on it, he's really underrated at what he does in the right midfield. There were so many other chances that they really should have taken. I've got to be honest. There was a 1-on-1 which was saved by Ruddy in the end. There was a couple of controversial moments. Birmingham thought they believe should have had a penalty. Cardiff also had an appeal as well. So overall, it was a bit scrappy for the looks of things, as you can see, with it being one-sided. 16 shots to 4, 7 shots, and Birmingham having 0 shots on target, which is not very encouraging. Birmingham will be relieved that they've picked up a win already. They'll definitely be feeling quite desperate if they fell in this position that they only had 1 point on the table and they only had, they didn't have any shots on target for, I would say. Cardiff, following those 2 wins actually at home, it puts them in 5th place in the table. So Is it nosebleed territory for Cardiff? Not necessarily, but I think what we're seeing is that they are, spending money right. They're getting the right players in and they're implementing with the right progression, and they've definitely elevated the team, which I think is really great progress for Cardiff. Now made it to the 3 p.m. kickoffs. Let's start off with Blackpool and Swansea. So it ended 1-0 to the Swans. Very, very late goal. I thought it was going to be a very dull 0-0 draw. I'd definitely say first half was a little bit more dull than the second half. The second half, to be fair, actually started with a really big moment. Jerry Yates stepping up for Blackpool when a penalty was conceded. I think it may have been Harry Darling who conceded the penalty, actually. Yates steps up, and it's a pretty poor penalty. Fisher, obviously, is going to get a great rating on SofaScore making the penalty save, but it was a very, very poor and slow penalty, unfortunately. Too central as well for him. But that save, I think, definitely kept Swansea in it. And I definitely think if you look at the attacking momentums, it's definitely Swansea that was slightly better. 15 shots to 10, 5 shots to 4 on target there. If you look at the stats there, 8 shots to 3 in the first half. Second half, a little bit more even there. So potentially we would have seen a moment where a draw would have been the fair result. But in the end, what Blackpool did is that they overcommitted. They tried to get an attack, and Swansea broke forward. It was actual Obafemi that managed to find a breakaway. He squared it to Olivier Nitcham, and he scores the easiest goal he should ever score, and that made it 1-0 to Swansea. I know I kind of like the sort of risk-reward football that Appleton's playing, but it's got more risk and punishment involving with rewards right now. Maybe with time we'll see more rewards with Appleton playing this sort of high line that they're playing, but it's clearly bit them in the bottom, today, unfortunately. So Swansea have taken full advantage of that. Their first away win of the season as well, which they would take as well. Blackpool, with only 1 win so far this season, they're definitely going to want to step this up with 2 defeats now in a row. Now, who saw this result coming at the John Smith Stadium? Huddersfield 3, Stoke City 1. Huddersfield's first win of the season. Does it actually make sense that this is just typical Stoke? They had a great performance against an in-form Millwall team. They face Huddersfield, a team that have picked up 0 points so far this season, and they find a way to lose pretty comprehensively in the end as well. What I will say is that I think it was definitely lost within the second half. Now, that first goal that Nakayama scored, defensively, absolutely disgraceful. Nakayama simply ran for the ball a lot more than what the back line did. I think it was either Wilmore or Flint that was just standing still when the corner was delivered. And Nakayama, running with pace, gets ahead of the player and was actually at a disadvantage at the start of that duel. Got a clean header and managed to get it past Bursik to make it 1-0. Now, Stoke did actually have the chance before that goal to take the lead when Lewis Baker had a penalty. But once again, penalty taken, saved by the goalkeeper. Now, that was a better save by Nichols, and Stoke nearly did score as a direct response, but that opportunity came off the post. Lewis Baker did redeem himself and managed to get a goal for Stoke City here. A shot from just outside the box there. Great power past the reach of Nichols. And what I will say, I was really impressed actually with Huddersfield for the fact that they didn't batter away. They kept in the game, and actually with the substitutions that they had, they managed to get a great result in it. I think Dwayne Holmes was the difference. He got the 2 assists for the last 2 goals for Huddersfield. So we got the first one for Danny Ward, and then the third one, Jordan Rhodes getting in as well. I mean, the second one was a mistake for Stoke playing out from the back. So once again, a little bit of support for the opposition team, just simply giving out mistakes. But Huddersfield still kept within the game, and they did really, really well to get something out of it. I don't know how to feel about Stoke, but they've definitely got the quality players, but it's just same old inconsistency, unfortunately. And is it going to come to a stage where fans are going to get impatient with it? They already seem quite impatient. So right now, if things don't improve in the next couple of weeks, I could potentially see Michael O'Neill in danger, got to be honest. Following this result in MKM Stadium, Norwich City are bottom of the Championship after 3 games in. Now, I do want to remind everyone that Nottingham Forest only had 1 point in 7 games in, and they managed to nearly get second place. But to do so and to get that form reunited, they needed to change manager. So Dean Smith right now, unmistakably, if things don't improve in the next 2-3 games, he will be under some serious pressure. Performance-wise, though, I feel like Norwich are the most unluckiest team in the league right now. With their performances, as you can see there, 12 shots on target, and to only get one goal out of it. And I believe Ingram made over 10 saves. So Matt Ingram in goal made 10 goalkeeping saves just before half-time, and we've seen how much of an effect it does have when you score just before half-time. Oscar Estupinian manages to get the goal, and it was just a simple mistake. Max Aarons, I don't know what he's doing, tries to clear it, and it hits Andrew, I can't say his surname, but Andrew, number 4. He hits it right on the groin, and because of this, it's just a simple, goal by Estupinian. He manages to collect the rebound and scores past Tim Krul. And then Estupinian actually manages to get a second. And what disappoints me in this time is that despite Norwich going behind, they felt sorry for themselves. And Hull actually started in that second half much, much better in that first half. I thought Norwich definitely should have capitalised because I think Hull were very poor at times. In that second goal, it was very pinball, and Tim Krul made an extraordinary double save. But for the third time of asking, Estupinian gets a goal in, and I do have to question, how was Tim Krul relied this much to even get, the ball away from the goal? So that's poor defensively to try and not clear the ball there. They did get one goal back though, and it is Marcelino Nunez with his first goal for Norwich. A great free kick to get in the top corner to make it 2-1. But by that time, it was too little too late, really. They did have some great pressure at the end, but Hull had a lead to hold, and they held it very, very well. Hull, following this, our second place is quite amazing. But this is the big story here. Norwich, 24th. They've got Huddersfield next. And last time they faced Huddersfield at home, they beat them, I believe, 7-0. They just look like a team lacking cutting edge and confidence right now. And if they don't cut that out, it's going to get only worse for Norwich. And then we saw Preston pick up their first win and their first goal in the Championship season. And what a bloody good goal it was as well. So, in short, it was an outrageous cross by Robbie Brady. And Brad Potts with an unbelievable volley going, lessening into the roof of the net. The goal itself was a chef's kiss. It was absolutely incredible. I heard that the Preston goal was really good. And to be fair, my standards were quite high, and it more than, defined my expectations. Unbelievable. But if you see here, Luton with 18 shots, but only 2 on target. That is 1 shot on target in every 9 shots. That is very, very poor. That's just over a 10% conversion rate with shots and shots on goal. That's not even goals. That's shots on goal, and that's really poor from Luton there. Preston, if you see there, look at that, 5 shots on target, looking much more clinical actually. So what we'll see here, Luton had 1 big chance missed. They did have a couple of moments, to be fair, but this Preston team are looking really, really interesting here. As you can see, one stat I want to put out there, Preston have not conceded a goal yet this season. Preston are actually the only team now, because obviously Blackburn conceded their first goal this weekend. Preston are the only team to have not conceded a goal so far this season. Now, I know they're the lowest scorers, joint with, ironically, Luton Town with only 1 goal in the opening 3 games. But I do think with more games and more experience with these new players, I think they'll improve. As with Luton, it's not been a really good start to the season. They definitely need to try and introduce their new signings more into the game, and they need to try and get used to each other. I feel like Luton's one of the examples that you're just going to give them a bit of time, and hopefully the signings will be able to click for them. And then an unbelievable game at the Den. It ended Millwall 3, Coventry 2. It was a brutal game for Coventry with all the drama that's going off the pitch, to the fact that they could be potentially suing Wasps based on the amount of money they're going to have to reinvest to get a new pitch. They've already had to cancel another game that they are holding so far in midweek. Their game against Wigan has been postponed as well. And likely, if their game against Huddersfield at home is going to have to be switched to an away day as well. With this game though, Coventry, as I said, got into a 2-0 lead very quickly as well. McFadden opening the goal in the first 2 minutes, Matt Godden heading the ball and McFadden getting the touch. And then it was Jake Bidwell involved in the second goal with his delivery, and then Matt Godden managing to get the touch this time for Coventry to make it 2-0. Now then, what was really interesting to see is just how Coventry would have responded to scoring those 2 goals. And unfortunately, within 8 minutes, Mill got one back. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, okay, now Millwall are now starting to grow into this now. As you can probably see from the stats, Coventry had the biggest spell there, but then right at the end of that first half, Mill grew back into it. And actually, I think should have equalised as well just before half time. There was a really good opportunity that they squandered. And then within the second half, within 8 minutes of that second half, George Honeyman manages to get an equalising goal for Mill there. A big shout out actually has to go to Tyler Burey, because his delivery immediately was the one that actually hit the post, and then George Honeyman managed to get the rebound. I think, with him being a young player, he's really shown a good amount of design that game. And then Coventry had that small spell there, but then pretty much from the rest of the second half onwards, it's been all Millwall. And then with their third goal, it was George Saville in the 85th minute. Afobe managing to supply the ball in the box, Saville getting enough of a connection. And ultimately, when Coventry fell down to 10 men due to 2 yellow cards from Gustavo Hamer, you know how tempered he is, and it didn't surprise me, sadly, when I did eventually see him get sent off. That definitely killed things for Coventry, and to go 2-0 up and then to lose 3-2, it's never easy. So I'll be interested to see the developments over Coventry with things going on off the pitch. With Mill right now, it's 2 home wins in a row now. What I will say, maybe defensively, they weren't too great with the first 2 goals that Coventry scored, but they are looking quite dangerous going forward, which was a bit of a criticism that I had, that their attacking play just wasn't good enough. So maybe that area, if they can address that, they could potentially improve on for where they finished from last year. What a moment this is for Rotherham United fans. Rotherham 4, Reading 0. Wow. And there was me thinking Brentford 4, Man United 0 could be the most shocking 4-0 weekend. This is right up there. You would not expect Rotherham to score 4 goals, but they did. And similarly with Brentford against Man United, 4 very quick goals and 4 first half goals as well. 7th minute they took the lead with Richard Wood. That was actually a great header by Richard Wood past the reach of Lumley. Connor Washington with the second goal. Lumley beating at his near post, but it was a very powerful strike and actually a great attack and a great pass by Barlaser to actually find him in that position. But then third and fourth, Lumley, put your head in your hands like this, because I don't know what he did. Third goal was the worst one. Shot straight at him, squirms under his arms to make it 3-0. And then Ogbene, he tries to claim a long delivery, misses it entirely. Ogbene collects the ball and taps it in the net. In the second half, we saw Reading with glimpses of chances, but it was as poor as I've seen, I've got to be honest. Rotherham's 4 shots on target was their 4 goals. A 100% shot conversion rate with shots on target. So Rotherham, I think definitely this season, if they're going to have anything, if they won't have a lot of the ball, possession-wise, they're not going to be a team that's going to try and outplay you. But, working off the ball and supplying the counter-attack, Rotherham looked very well drilled with that. So perhaps, maybe, we could have underestimated them. I know it's Reading, though, that they beat 4-0, which we do expect them to be down there. But so far, Rotherham are doing pretty well this season. I really got to be honest, as of now, as you can see with the table, they are in 8th place, which is incredible. They've only played 2 games because obviously their game against Coventry was postponed. But for what I can see, Rotherham have not looked as bad as I thought. They've looked, in fact, if anything, really good. In terms of Reading, with that win against Cardiff, this game just really sends them back down to earth. And with the injuries of Zhao, Meite, Ejaria, all 3 of these players being out, this is just the biggest issue. They've got quality players, but they're so injury prone to the point that, there's almost no point of having them in, unfortunately. So right now, I do fear for Reading in the next couple of days or so. Reading has a really easy start to the season. Their next game is against, top of the league Blackburn Rovers, which I'm really not excited for whatsoever for Reading, unfortunately. What an unbelievable game at the Stadium of Light. It ended Sunderland 2, Queen's Park Rangers 2. What can I say about this game? I mean, one thing I really like about Sunderland already is their front 2. Ellis Sims and Ross Stewart. I am really, really excited to see how they, get involved in the Championship. It could be one of the greatest partnerships that we will get in the Championship in terms of their strike partnerships, all season. Ross Stewart scores the first goal after Dieng makes a save, and then Ross Stewart manages to pounce in the rebound. Ellis Sims does very, very well on his own to get the second goal for Sunderland to make it 2-0. And honestly, I gave basically QPR no chance in this game, really. I thought, especially for the fact that they found themselves 2-0 up before half-time, I thought it was going to be very tough for QPR. But I've got to say, it's not the first time this has happened for Sunderland to, drop points in winning positions. So they did that, of course, against Coventry in the first game of the season. This is an example, again, of dropping points in winning positions. Ilias Chair scores from a great free kick. The bend on it to get into the top corner was brilliant to make it 2-1. And then in the 92nd minute, you call all your players on the pitch and in the penalty box to try and get a header goal. And who gets the goal? It is Seny Dieng, a strong header past Richard Patterson. What an unbelievable moment. It's very rare we see goalkeepers score in general, let alone in the Championship. So it was one of the most confusing moments that I saw on the video printer when I reacted to it live. I was in utter shock. But these things only happen in the Championship, and honestly, I think we're always blessed with the drama. I've got to say, I think Michael Beale, I wasn't really hot with him, in the first game of the season when they lost out embarrassingly to Blackburn Rovers. But in the other two games, I've got to say, I think QPR have got something within them. They've got really bad injuries right now. Powell and Willock, two great players injured. So I think QPR have done a stellar job to get a point out of this. Last game of the 3 o'clock kickoffs was Wigan 1, Bristol City 1, which I did correctly predict actually with my score predictions on the Friday. What I would say looking at this game, Bristol City, for what I've seen, they've started games really well, but this is another example of them dropping points from winning positions. That's the third game in a row that they've done that. They are one of the very few teams now in the Championship still looking for their first win. As you can see here, you've got basically the bottom 6 still looking for their first win. And there's Bristol City. They are on 1 point, 23rd place right now, which is not very encouraging. Wigan actually also a team looking for their first win as well, but they've been the only team actually to have 3 draws in a row. And what I will say about Wigan, I do fear going forward for them is that I don't think they've got a constant goal threat. They did manage to get 1 goal in the end by Will King. So the first goal, actually, let's just talk about that first for Bristol City. It was Andre Vyman. Conway, in terms of the build-up, did really, really well. In terms of the equaliser, McGuinness got the assist. Pretty scrappy for what I remembered watching with the goal back. But Will King, right place, right time, got another connection to get it past the reach of Bentley to make it 1-1. And honestly, if you look actually with the attack momentum, Wigan definitely looked more likely to get something out of this. 13 shots to 5, 3 shots on target. So what disappoints me, look at this, only 1 shot on target from Bristol City, which was their goal. As with Wigan, mid-table right now, I definitely do think they need a bit of work still. I think Max Power has done a great job as well, actually, so I'll give him a small shout out there. Callum Lang, I think, definitely needs to step up. But in terms of Will Keane and James McLean, actually, they've both scored their first goals already this season. So I'm a bit excited for them. I think they can do a pretty good job with Wigan this year. Now we're going to yesterday's games. Let's start off with Middlesbrough 2, Sheffield United 2. Another high-scoring game, another 2-2 draw. We've had, a rare couple of those already this season. It was actually Sheffield United with the league. It was Sander Berge with the first goal in the 3rd minute. How did Paul Heckingbottom get a yellow card in the 1st minute? That's what I want to know. But anyway, in the 3rd minute, Sander Berge gets the great goal. It was actually just outside the box as well. Brilliant angle past the reach of Zach Steffen. But Chuba Akpom has officially returned to the Championship. It's just a question now, is he going to make these performances, consistently? Because Chuba Akpom definitely had goals within him, but 2 seasons ago, he lacked that consistency and, it costed Middlesbrough a couple of crucial games. But this time, he really turned up. By the 82nd minute, he managed to get the second equaliser. And, it was a bit unfortunate for Middlesbrough the way they fell behind. It was a Ryan Giles' own goal. He definitely didn't mean it. It was definitely wrong place, wrong time for him. I mean, look how close it was. 7 shots to 4. 4 shots on target each. So we had 2 shots to 1 there on target for Middlesbrough, and then 3 shots to 2 there for Sheffield United. So I think a draw was a fair result. Very, very close game. It surprises me that Middlesbrough still have not won yet, but reminding me of what West Brom are doing at the moment. I think both are performing rather well, but still not getting wins so far. Hopefully, with confidence and cutting edge, that will result in wins. As for Sheffield United, they've got 4 points actually, and in 9th place. I mean, so far, I think it's been a decent start for Sheffield United. I definitely think maybe they want to start the season a little bit stronger than this, but to get an away point against Middlesbrough, who will be right up there in the table, I think that's a really good result for the Blades. John Dale Thomason's Blue and White Army seems unstoppable right now. It's 3 wins in a row for Blackburn Rovers against West Brom. And West Brom again still find themselves winners at the start of the season, despite having Jed Wallace creating the most chances out of any Championship player in this season so far. You can see from the momentum there that it was mainly West Brom creating stuff there. But Blackburn being dangerously clinical. They're definitely going to be the clinical team of this year. They were clinical like this in the start of last year as well, but it's going to be interesting to see if John Dale Thomason's going to keep that up. They had 2 shots on target in the whole game, Blackburn, where they had 2 goals, which, of course, they managed to score 1 in each half. So they did really well in a way to actually carry the game, with a 2-goal margin. West Brom did eventually get 1 goal back, and Blackburn conceded their first goal of the season. It was a wicked deflection from a shot from Dieng, so it will count as a Dieng goal, but it did take a wicked deflection past the reach of Kaminsky in goal. But the first 2 goals for Blackburn's point of view, Brent Brereton and Sam Gallagher with the goals. And I've got to say, Blackburn definitely are a force for what I can see so far. They look very dangerous going forward. And defensively, they do look rather organised somehow. So that is an example, Bristol City. If you get the right sort of attack and defence, the perfect structure, the perfect balance, and it provides you with wins. 3 wins in a row, the only team to have 100% start so far. To mention again with West Brom, still without a win, their first defeat of the season. But I do think West Brom, to be fair, did quite well. And I think, likewise in Norwich, I think eventually they can start just taking their chances. I definitely think they'll start getting rewarded. So to finish my analysis of match day 3, before I start predicting match day 4, is to look at the Championship table. So, Blackburn, the only team with 100% start. Hull, Watford, Millwall, Cardiff and Sunderland currently occupying the top 6, Preston just behind. Then, in terms of the teams that have not picked up a win yet, Wigan in 15th have them, but also the bottom 6, which is consisting of Middlesbrough, West Brom, Luton, Coventry, Bristol City and Norwich. Please do also let me know your thoughts of this weekend's games in the comments down below. But without any further ado, let's start predicting match day 4. So, on the left-hand side is the predictions I am going to be saying in this game. I'm going to do it pretty quick fire. Birmingham, Watford. I think Watford will edge us with more firepower. I'm going to say 2-1 Watford. Bristol City, Luton. I think both teams being rather inconsistent. Both teams still win this. Both teams not scoring too many goals so far. But potentially Bristol City could have the edge with the firepower. But I think Luton will find a way to get a point. So I'm going to say 1-1. Burnley, Hull. For me, I think Hull have ridden their luck a little bit, honestly, in the last couple of games. And I think Burnley, if they do play the way they play, I think they have got the talent to punish Hull. But I don't think it will be very one-sided. I'm going to go 2-1 Burnley. Norwich, Huddersfield. Who knows, to be honest. Huddersfield could have a blinder and get something. Norwich could eventually turn into the Norwich we expect to see from them. I think it'll be a narrow win for Norwich. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Canaries. Preston and Rotherham. I've got to say, I think both teams have been rather underrated in terms of their start so far this season. Both teams still undefeated at this stage. I'll go for a 1-1 draw. I think it'll be a pretty tough game for both teams respectively. QPR and Blackpool. I'm going to go 2-0 QPR. Despite the players that they're missing, I definitely think the squad as a whole, I just think, are a little bit better equipped. In terms of Swansea and Millwall, however, I really wanted to say a 0-0 draw. But I'm going to actually edge Millwall for a 1-0 away win. I don't know why. Something tells me that Millwall might sneak something there. In terms of Stoke versus Middlesbrough, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw at the moment. I think Middlesbrough starting a little bit slow. Stoke just being inconsistent, so naturally I'm not going to predict any of the teams to win at the moment. Reading at Blackburn, I think once again, I think Blackburn should be okay with this, with Reading having a lot of injuries. Blackburn looking very confident. I'm going to go 2-0 Blackburn. Sheffield United and Sunderland. Oh, now this is really tough. And I honestly think this could be really close. I'm going to say 2-1 Sheffield United just for the fact that they're at home and maybe the score's slightly better so far than Sunderland's. But Sunderland will fight, and I definitely think they've been a breath of fresh air so far. Finally, West Brom Cardiff. You may notice only 11 games because, as you know, I mentioned it already. Coventry and Wigan is currently being postponed due to the condition of the CVS Arena. But with West Brom and Cardiff, once again, I think low scoring. But I think West Brom will get their first win finally. If they play at home like they did against Watford last, then I think West Brom should win. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Baggies. So guys, that is my review done. If you guys enjoyed it, please give the video a like. It just tremendously helps the growth of this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button. It really helps. And please also share the channel too. All of this really does help the growth of this channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for joining the end of this video. As always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.